Hello everybody, this is Joshua Hodge. Many people on the internet know me because of my educational Spanish videos. Others have read my adventure blog, and some of you that are watching this video just may be my family and friends. Regardless of who you are, you may not know that I am a big Theodore Roosevelt enthusiast, and this year I have published a new book called Theodore Roosevelt for the Holidays. This was a book that took quite a bit of research, something that had been on my mind for about a year. This book is split into 4 sections. The first section has all of Theodore Roosevelt's Thanksgiving proclamations from his time in the White House. The second section has a bunch of letters he's written throughout a broad expanse of his life concerning Thanksgiving and mostly Christmas. Then there's a third section, which includes journal entries, even journal entries dating back to 11-year-old Theodore Roosevelt. And then the final section of this book is a collection of literature that you find in the personal library of Theodore Roosevelt in Sagamore Hill, which is in Oyster Bay, New York. So I thought right now that I would share a little bit of this with you, and I'm going to read you the introduction which I have written to this book. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the introduction of Theodore Roosevelt for the Holidays by Joshua Hodge. The clock strikes 7. The Roosevelt children know what it means. It's time. Down the halls of Sagamore Hill, they dart in a fury of excitement, with unbridled anticipation. Outside, the snow descends majestically over Oyster Bay. The winter cape is still, but the water of Long Island Sound flaps onto the shoreline. Into their parents' room they go, racing and tumbling over one another. Inside, the fireplace is blazing and crackling, for their father, Theodore, had stoked it just moments ago. He has been up for a while, with elation, as Christmas captures him every year. He is excited just as much as the children. He scoops up his youngest child and holds him in his arms. He and his wife call these younglings their bunnies. On the fireplace mantel and bedposts, chubby little hands pull down stockings bulging with treasures. They carefully take them off the hooks and then jump onto the bed with their parents. One of the many Roosevelt pets scampers onto the bed to be a part of the Christmas delight. Theodore and Edith are in love, and as he puts it, Edith grows steadily stronger and better, and she is just as pretty and charming as she can be. Out of their love for each other spawns the joy and laughter of the Roosevelt family. Today, Theodore indulges in spoiling his children, for today is Christmas, and he wishes to make it just as special of a day as it was when he was a child. Whether as assemblyman, civil service commissioner, police commissioner, assistant secretary of the Navy, governor, vice president, president, author, or in the midst of carrying out any one of his other important roles, Roosevelt always took a break from his work to embrace the rapture of Christmas with his family. Tradition lives on every year with the Roosevelts during this season. As the family gathers around the dining room table for breakfast with eggs, bacon, sausage, rolls, jam, hominy, and tea, Theodore looks at his children before him with overwhelming gratitude. There's Alice, Ted, Kermit, Ethel, Archie, and Quentin. Theodore savors, more so than the breakfast before him, the thankfulness he has for his family. In a letter written to one of his sons later in life, he says, "I have heartily enjoyed many things: the presidency, my success as a soldier, a writer, a big game hunter, and explorer. But all of them put together are not, for one moment, to be weighed in the balance when compared with the joy I have known with your mother and all of you." Roosevelt is aware of his blessings and is thankful for all he has. This could be in part influenced by his faith, his own parents, his character, the gritty strenuity he welcomely endures, or because he is no stranger to pain and loss. Roosevelt wasn't expected to survive past childhood. His severe asthma and weak gut were expected to get the best of him. But Roosevelt made his body as his father instructed him to do. Then, as a young man of 19 years, he lost his father. 5 years later, at the ripe age of 24, he lost his first wife and his mother the same day to illness. Quote, "The light has gone out of my life," he'd write in his diary. Pain surely left lasting scars, but he had a keen way of accepting the difficulties of life. Perhaps it's his deliverance from this emotional turmoil that helped Roosevelt become wholly present and take command of each moment, fully embracing the richness of life. And as a result, he'd become not only a revered naturalist and politician, but a loving, passionate, vivacious, and thankful father. His thankfulness stretched beyond that for his family to his nation and fellow man. Roosevelt saw and experienced the benefits of a wealthy and industrious young nation at the turn of the century, and experienced the wild, all-American freedom as a cowboy in the newly settled Dakota Territory. As president, every November, he would make a proclamation of thanksgiving to the nation, his words often elegant and carefully chosen. Quote, "Never before in our history, or in the history of any other nation, has a people enjoyed more abounding material prosperity than is ours." In his first proclamation, when assuming office after the assassination of President McKinley, he says, "Yet in spite of this great disaster, it is nevertheless true that no people on earth have such abundant cause for thanksgiving as we have. This past year in particular has been one of peace and plenty. We have prospered in things material and have been able to work for our own uplifting in things intellectual and spiritual." After breakfast, the Roosevelt family makes its way to the drawing room, where the Christmas tree dazzles with tinsel and shines with new electric Christmas lights. This is the first time the children see it, for the tree always is a surprise for Christmas Day. But stealing the attention of all the youngsters are the tables, one for each child, loaded with gifts. As Roosevelt puts it, quote, "They came as near to realizing the feelings of those who enter paradise as they ever will on this earth." This is where the big toys are given. As a child, Roosevelt himself would get things that largely ranged from practical to sophisticated, such as a compass, gloves, art, literature, writing paper, or an inkstand. But now times are different, and he encourages his children to have as much fun as possible, so toys are included in the mix, among them dolls, boats, and toy soldiers. The children take the toys into the cozy library and sprawl out on the lion-skin rugs next to the warm fireplace. On the walls hang taxidermic trophies from their father's extravagant hunting expeditions. Here they are also surrounded by books of all sorts of stories, even Christmas tales from Dickens, Moore, and Wigan. The children make their own stories with their new toys. Theodore is roped into play, giving names to the toy horses. But then he, with ease, convinces the family of more vigorous recreation. They go for a winter horse ride through the countryside, the horse packing down snow with each careful step, as winter weather doesn't allow for the usual gaily gallop. This picture of Christmas morning has been painted together based on a harmony of letters from Theodore Roosevelt written to his family members. It is through these letters we see the joy, excitement, and warmth in a Roosevelt Christmas. We also know by looking at these letters and accounts that Christmas Day for the Roosevelts was full and robust and extended well beyond the fury of excitement in the morning. Recreation always followed in the afternoon. Whether it was a horse ride, sleigh ride, skiing, a tennis match, stickball, or Roosevelt children simply playing out in the snow, there was always something going on. Also, we know there was a sure staple binding the day together, the usual Christmas dinner. Extended family and connections were always present, and when certain family members couldn't make it, they were longed for. Neighbors and dear friends were also invited. Henry Cabot Lodge and his family were sometimes among them. Even the warm invitation extended to acquaintances that simply did not have anywhere else to go. When the meal was over, it was often time to dance, as multiple times noted, to the Virginia Reel. Following the example of his father, Theodore Roosevelt Sr., who volunteered by serving and sponsoring the Newsboys' Lodging House Christmas dinner, Theodore and his brother Elliot as young men did the same. Also, later in his life, Roosevelt would give up his time to pass out presents at the Cove School in Oyster Bay on the evening of Christmas. He was the guest of honor. Some speculate he dressed up as Santa Claus, And although we don't know if he did for certain, we do know that just like Santa Claus, Roosevelt was the larger-than-life character who comported with a joyous presence. Here at the school, he also would give one of his sermonettes, sharing the true meaning of Christmas, or, as biographer Herman Hagedorn writes, a speech not on Christmas at all, but rather on the strenuous life. What exactly he said, we do not know, but once he refers to his address as mercifully brief. We do know Roosevelt's faith was deeply integrated in many of his philosophies, political and personal. His study of the Bible was avid and thorough. Even as a Harvard graduate, he concluded, quote, "A thorough knowledge of the Bible is worth more than a college education." It can be inferred without question that Christmas, with all its pomp and excitement, was also a sincerely religious celebration. This book you hold in your hands reveals all the proclamations, letters, diary entries, and memoirs that help us celebrate the holidays alongside Theodore Roosevelt. After Thanksgiving proclamations, it begins with the voice of 12-year-old Roosevelt recounting his Christmas in Rome and spans to the last holiday season of the Bull Moose from his residence at Sagamore Hill. We live in a time ripe once again for the character and influence of such a man as Roosevelt, who was unwavering in principle, who believed in and manifested the principles of courage, hardiness, integrity, and independence. Intrigued by his character, and also very fond of Christmas myself, I wonder, what did Christmas mean to Roosevelt, and how did he celebrate it? This book takes us just there to answer these questions. Even beyond looking at the writings of Theodore Roosevelt, this book delves into his personal library at Sagamore Hill to reveal the Christmas literature he would have read to himself or to his children, helping us gain the most well-rounded view of Christmas from the Roosevelt perspective. All works in this book have been left unedited and are in their original diction, except for the occasional noted word inserted for fluidity and comprehension. Proclamations, letters, and excerpts from the Roosevelt's biography have been titled for easy reference and are often introduced in order to provide context. Letters have been transcribed in this book based on their original and sole existent form in Roosevelt's own penmanship, which is sometimes difficult to decipher. Because of this, names with spelling uncertainty are marked with an asterisk and are welcome to be scrutinized for further accuracy. There are 4 sections in this book: the proclamations, the letters, the diary, and the library. Each give a different angle on the Roosevelt celebration of the greatest season of the year. Among our many blessings, let us be thankful for this season, for the great men and women who have come before us, whose lives of service, like that of Roosevelt, have gifted unequivocal and enduring impressions on both our personal and public life. With that said, Merry Christmas to you and yours. May you experience the same love and delight Roosevelt himself felt for the holidays. And that is my introduction to Theodore Roosevelt for the holidays. Christmas and Thanksgiving with the Bull Moose. This book is now available on Amazon, so go check it out and have a Merry Christmas.